Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, everyone.
What is going on? Welcome to After Hours here at Linda's Electric Quilters.
Woo woo.
That was good. I'll give you that.
Oh,
that was a good one. I'll give you that.
You.
Hey, whoa, with the volume.
I just wanted to make sure it was working. So
Can't give her nice things, y'all. Can't give her nice things. She's over here playing with the phone. She's looking at the computer. She's doing this. She's doing that. I can't give her nice things. What to do today?
I just want to learn everything still. Remember things. Since you say I forget stuff daily.
On the daily. I don't even, she'll tell me one thing in the afternoon. I was like, you told me that this morning. She was like, no, I didn't. No, and then we get in a full-blown argument about did you tell me or did you not tell me? And I'm just like, okay, you didn't tell me. She's like, see, told you. And I was like, see, you told me that though.
See, I told him he's got to start recording me because, I'm just forgetting. Anyway, we are super excited to be here today to celebrate Veterans Day next week, which is on November 11th. Before we do that, we want to welcome everyone and thank you for watching. We're so glad that you are on with us. We're excited, right?
It is. It's been a crazy, hectic day, week, month, year, 2020. Go team.
Yeah. No,
and
I was just to say it's been a crazy.
It's been a crazy something. So it's just nice to breathe, chill, relax, come together as After Hours viewers.
Yes.
And just kind of chill. And then, of course, celebrate this amazing holiday that's coming up next week.
Yep. So we hope tonight's story can take you away from all the craziness and you can learn so many different facts about World War I, about, the veterans and the gentleman behind this quilt. But it was quilted amazingly by Linda. So we're super excited to have her with us.
So, yes, we have special guest Linda V. Taylor standing by backstage with us. But before we get started, as always, make sure you subscribe to our channel. So it's going to be right down there at the bottom right-hand corner. After you click on that subscribe button, make sure you click on the little bell that shows up so you can get notified whenever we post new videos and whenever we go live here at After Hours.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so I have a question because you know me, I love questions to kind of get the movement going, get people talking.
Yes, so you have a question and I'm going to answer a question that popped up in the chat after you do that, so go.
Okay, so while you were putting your answer in, Corey will answer some questions. Because it is Veterans Day, make sure, again, or coming up soon, thank a veteran. We are all free because of all the sacrifice that they did and still do for us. So make sure you thank a veteran. The question is, do you have a veteran in your family? If so, which branch did they serve? And then who was it? So like for me, my dad, I'm a military brat. So my dad was in the Army. I had a brother in the Army, nephew in the Marines. So I have a whole family full of servicemen. So I am very thankful to have them in my life. So you guys answer this question. But Corey, go ahead.
Okay, so while they're answering that question, you've had a lot of comments throwing up in the comment section about your background that we've got here.
Oh,
this background. I think you should talk about this background real quick while they're answering their question.
Yeah,
please tell them about this background. I'd love to hear the story. Go ahead, tell them the background.
Okay, so really quick. So a couple days ago, literally a couple days ago, this wide back came in from Northcott, right?
Northcott Fabrics, yeah.
Got that right. So it came in and I opened it and I was like, I don't remember ordering this.
Oh, that was a bit. There we go. Another not remembering thing, but it's fine.
And I'm like, but I love it. It was so pretty. And he's like, yeah, it's pretty. And we're folding it up to put it on this shelf, for customers. I'm like, I need a quilt like today out of that. He's like, are you serious? I'm like,
I have work to do. I have so many things I have to get done first.
I'm like, no, I need a quilt out of that.
It was like 2:45 and she's like, I gotta have a quilt now. And I was like, I have work. She's like, I'll do your work. And I was like, out to the machine. See ya, gone. It's been real. It's been fun.
So we quilted it up with one of Linda's amazing patterns, and we'll have some close-ups of that later. And we got it all done, and here it is.
Yeah, so it's got little trees in it and the mountains and the rivers and stuff. So patterned by Linda V. Taylor. It's called Wilderness.
Yeah, Wilderness.
Wilderness. And but yeah, she had to have this. But I really do like the ombre effect that does. It gets lighter up there and it gets more of this ombre effect.
Yeah, it's cool. I love
but it's really pretty. Yeah, it's cool.
Okay.
Totally off topic, but I wanted to answer that question.
All right, so we have lots of different people. Marine Corps, Army, Dad retired Air Force. Yeah, we are so thankful for their service as well. Oh, just amazing.
All over the place. So many.
All over the place. Navy. It looks like all the branches are represented here. So we're thankful for the service and for the ones that are not here anymore. We're thankful for them. Without them, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Of course, we can be here with you.
All right. So before we bring Linda on, grab a pen and paper, pencil, paper, or your device if you want to type in there. Because she's going to have so many facts about World War One and where some of our key phrases that we use today come from.
I learned so much just reading through her email that she had sent me because we had to build an outline together. And I was just like, they didn't teach me a lot of this in school. So I learned a whole lot more about World War One than I ever thought I would.
Yeah, so there's going to be some awesome stories behind the quilt, how it was quilted. And so for further ado, let's bring her on.
All righty. So here she is, Linda V. Taylor. Hello, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And Linda is joining us up in Star Valley, Wyoming.
Yes.
So what's the weather like, Linda?
Yep.
Cold?
Yeah, it's
cold. Okay.
It's snow, but it didn't stick, so we're fine.
Oh, okay. No, can't jump off the patio into the snow like we did last time?
No, not that bad.
Not that bad. Okay.
So let's get started, Linda. We're you take it from here, and we just can't wait to hear about the story and the quilt and all that good stuff.
Okay, well, this kind of looks like a sampler quilt, and I really don't know where he got the idea that he wanted to do this quilt, but his name is Dean Bowers, and he lives in Utah. He is retired from the service, 38 years. So I don't know how old he is. I haven't met him in person, but I'm assuming he's in his 60s, maybe close to 70. There he is with his family. So cute. So he just saw this quilt, and for World War I, he wasn't in World War I, of course, and he needed to actually buy him a sewing machine to make it because he had never sewn before. And here he is taking on tackling this sampler quilt, and he wanted to use a machine that was kind of from that era. So he found this sewing machine. Isn't that cool? That is determination. I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Way. Yeah. So he asked somebody in Utah to do it, but they didn't want to, so they contacted me. And here he is. Is there a picture of him with the quilt top? Yep, there it is before it was quilted, and that's him with his mask. You can see it's just gorgeous. It's just beautiful. So I want to tell you about each of the blocks and what they represent.
Okay.
Let's go to block one. I can't wait to hear all about it.
Okay, this is called the beginnings. This is block one. And I don't have a lot about information about that, except it really looks like confusion to me and kind of scrambling. I think the whole world was sort of in a disarray, when this war started and people, Germany started invading. So I put a star in the middle of that, and I just thought it needed a beautiful pattern on it to kind of bring it all together. So I used it's called a star block, 2229. It's one of my patterns. So that was an easier one for me, but it just looks like confusion. What does it look like to you guys?
Yeah, same thing. I can see where you would get that from the piecing.
Yeah. It's just like we don't know what's going on. I can't believe we've been, invaded.
Yeah.
So block two. Okay, this is it's supposedly the four fronts, and I tried to do a lot of trying to figure out what the four fronts were. I mean, there was a Western front, and there was France, and then it went into like land, sea, air. So I still haven't completely understood what the fronts were, because there was all these countries involved. I mean, they're like all around the world. So the pattern that I put on that, I just kind of emphasized the four areas, and so that worked, I think.
So how were the blocks named?
That one was called the fronts. The fronts. I don't know who made up the patterns or for the piecing and that. I think it was a gentleman. I think it was a man, and that's why he wanted to take the class from this guy to piece this.
Got it.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's really
very cool. Okay, so block three. This is called the trenches. And the trenches, boy, there were a lot of sayings that came out of the trenches, like in the trenches, and we still say that a lot. I'm in the trenches. And also have a chat. chat was never. It just occurred. They would go and have a chat in the trenches, and also cooties and all kinds of things, bugs, and these guys were infested with them. And there was also no man's land, which was between their trenches and the enemy trenches. That's no man's land. We use that a lot today. And this was interesting. Third light. I thought, what is third light? And that's the time. So when they would have cigarettes, and I guess a lot of them smoked or picked up smoking during the war. When they would have a cigarette, the first one that would light it, the enemy couldn't zoom in on it. The second one, not quite still enough time, but the third light, if you lit a third light, you were going to get zapped.
Oh,
wow, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so don't light for the third, have 3 people smoking at the same time. Also, over the top. And you know what that means? They went over the top of the trenches. And that's where over the top came. And basket case. I'm sure they were all a basket case. He's a basket case. So they just had, can you believe these phrases were not used before that? We just assumed they always were. I don't know where we thought they came from. So we'll talk a little bit more about the trenches when we get to the animals. So,
okay.
All right. So block number 4, this just kind of represents the forces, Army, Air Force, Navy. And World War I's when Uncle Sam came in. And we all can imagine in our minds Uncle Sam, okay, and then Wan Shu, and flag wagger, not waver, flag wagger. Yeah, and the people that didn't actually go to the front or and had other jobs, the word cushy, they had a cushy job.
Interesting.
We say that all the time. You guys have a cushy job.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, so anyway, that's that block. And then the letters home, number 5.
Yep.
This one represents the letters home. And one of the phrases that came out of the letters that were written home was, I'm in the pink. And everyone that got a letter from their loved one would want to hear that. I'm in the pink. So, and also shrapnel was came out of World War I. Hadn't been around before.
It's amazing all the words that we use.
I know.
And don't really think, a whole lot of it. It all came from that era. That's
They're
really
cool. Common to us now.
Yeah.
Now this one's really interesting, block number 6. I'm really excited about this one. This is the women in the war, World War I. There were 1.4 million German women in the war labor force. That's a lot of women.
Yeah.
4.7 British women. 3,000 of the American nurses were in the French hospitals. And they eventually actually did make this, in fact, I'll read this part. They made a division. They were called yeomen, Y-E-O-M-E-N, not women, but yeomen, non-commissioned officers, and about 12,000 U.S. women enlisted in the Navy under that title. Of course, they didn't get in retirement or anything till a lot later. I think it was President Carter actually came along and said, these women serve too, but they would serve stateside on naval bases, replacing the men who had deployed. And they did clerical duties, worked as truck drivers, mechanics, radio operators, telephone operators, translators, munition workers. And they said that was a dangerous job. And also camouflage artists. And I thought that would be me. I would like to draw. And by the way, camouflage hadn't been invented until World War I. Suddenly, we need camouflage.
Interesting.
Those women made $28.75 per day.
Oh, wow.
Oh, but wait.
Pattern, though. Tell us a little bit about this pattern. It's really
Oh, the pattern.
Yeah.
That pattern. Where is it? That pattern is my star block. And I removed the star from the middle and put, in with my Statler, I put Women World War I in there. But I wanted to make it look a little more feminine.
Mm-hmm.
So and it makes it more circular, doesn't it?
Yeah, it kind of breaks up the straight lines and the piecing, which is a really good thing to do. I like how the corners of these teardrop feathers, that's what I'm going to call it. I don't know if that's what it is, but
yes, it is.
These little teardrops. The way that they hit these corners of this piecing, it looks like they were built specifically for those corners. It hits that piecing very, very well. It's an excellent choice. But I love the way it softens all those straight lines with all these curves to it.
Yeah, it was perfect for that block, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much so.
Perfect. One more thing about the women. Did you know in the US that those women were asked to sign a pledge card? All the women that were still here in the United States signed a pledge card saying they would carry out the directions and advice of the Food Administration and conduct their household. So that meant canning food, growing vegetables in the backyard, and limiting their consumption of meat and fats. And they were also expected to bolster the morale of those that were gone and also the rest of their families that were left. They had to sign a pledge card.
Wow.
There would be a revolt here, wouldn't there now? Not Tony, no. Anyway, wonderful women, nurses, but we all know that that's really when women started going to the workforce. So many of them had to.
Right.
So number 7, this one represents the Doughboys, and it has an eagle on it with a star at the top and the bottom in there, and then eagles in the corners. Doughboys were the American infantry. So that's what they called the American infantry when they got over there, the Doughboys.
So is this one of your patterns also?
Yes, that middle one is 134E, Stars and Stripes corner, number 1. And then I just did freehand feather around it.
It looks really good.
Thank you. So the Doughboys, now we'll remember. And then number 8 is Unsung Heroes. And I added up all the casualties from, not just the casualties from, but I included the other side. Total casualties, 13 million people. This was military people, 13 million died in World War I. And the civilians from both sides, 1 million civilians.
Wow.
I didn't know that. That's
just unreal. Just really makes you think about how fortunate we are and what these people went through.
We're very fortunate. Just telling the stories about the women and the other stories. Our life, when you think about how life was back then, life is really easy right now. It's stressful for all of us at this moment in time with 2020 just being the way it is. But imagine
in the grand scheme of things.
It's nothing compared to what they have gone through. We are very blessed.
Well, they say that was part of the greatest generation. And we were spoiled. And I look at the kids now and I think they're spoiled, you know what I mean? But I'm spoiled. I'm spoiled too. But what we're going through now is no picnic. Mm-hmm. But and in 1918 the flu hit just as at the end of the war. So their flu. And that killed more people. Block number 9.
Tell us about the barbed wire on block number 8.
Oh, yeah. Let's look at that a little closer if we can, Corey. Dean wanted me to put some, he said, can you put barbed wire on it anyway? I said, well, I don't really have a pattern, but my husband digitized this barbed wire pattern for me, and it was perfect to put in the sash. I just put a star in the corner sets. But as I was doing that, I was just thinking of all the the people that were prisoners and were treated so badly, and so I went on a diet. I'm starving myself.
Way to line it up, Linda.
Oh dear.
All right.
Number 9, the animals. So many people love these animals. Oh my goodness, there's a war horse. There were war horses. There were mules. But here's some of the other animals that were in there. They had canaries, and that was for poison gas. They had canaries. Camels, of course, that would be probably on the Africa front. And they had lots of cats and dogs for the trenches because they needed to control the rats. Oh, hello. So they even had monkeys, bears, and lions as mascots. There were 16 million animals, they figure, in the war, and that was on both sides. And those animals were used for transport, for supplies, food, medical equipment, and communication and companionship. So, and I'm sure so many of them died. But
wow, 16 million animals.
16 million animals.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now,
So,
on this block, is that thread play as the hair? Is that what I'm seeing?
no, that he had that on there.
Oh,
I
wow.
would have done that, but he did it. So I didn't add to it or do any more on that because he did a great job. Can you believe this was his first quilt? Unbelievable.
What? No.
No, this was his first quilt. He had to buy a sewing machine to do it.
Well, that's right.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she said.
This is the whole point. This guy's first quilt is a masterpiece. Well, it's just amazing.
Wow.
It's just amazing. So, okay, block number 10.
Mhm.
We have 12 blocks. Block number 10.
I love this one.
Oh, this was the Christmas truce. Now, this was in 1914 that they had this Christmas truce. And it happened only 5 months after the war started. And the leaders I think the leaders didn't know what they were doing. There was just kind of a lull as far as the soldiers out there. And they're like, can we just not do this tonight? It's Christmas Eve. And so this is a pretty famous 1914, December 24th or 25th, I'm not sure. And I just put stars and stripes on it and an eagle with the world, because the world can stop for one day, please.
Yes.
That's just awesome. To think it was only 5 months into the war. And then here we have block 11. This is armistice. Armistice. Did I say right? Yeah. And this was the 11th month, the 11th day, 1918. And the armistice took place in a dining car on a train. Can you believe that?
Wow.
And I thought it was really interesting because there were so many of the German, they called them extremists, that did not want the war to end. So it wasn't a surrender, it was an armistice. And in fact, it says Matthias Erzberger, the politician who reluctantly agreed to lead the German delegation, would be murdered not quite 3 years later by German ultra-nationalist extremists. Many of them were murdered after that armistice because the extremists didn't want the war to end. They wanted to take over the world. So, and I'm so grateful. But because America had come into the war and they were just pouring more supplies and men into the war, the Germans couldn't keep up. And so what a blessing.
Tell us some about this the quilting you did on this one, because it really stands out on this
Oh
one.
yeah, I thought I had to do something really special on that one. That one I used my wreath texture block. And what I mean by the texture, you see the little dots that come into the, you can use your little mouse to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see the little texture blocks that go. I have one that doesn't have the texture in the feathers, but it just adds so much. And I did use red thread. And you know why I chose red?
Why?
Why?
That's a really good question. Because of blood. Because of blood. And, you know, there's a little red on the quilt, but mostly it's blue and gray and black. But I just thought, and he's got red in almost every block here and there. And I thought it deserves that red thread, deserves that. Mm-hmm. So that, I mean, that's one of our most wonderful days in our history. And when that was signed, as people learned about it, that were over there, the soldiers weren't throwing their hats in the air and cheering and stuff. Everybody was just stunned and tired, and it took a while for the reality to sink in. They said some of the noise, it just suddenly stopped, and then you could hear the sink drip or something, and people, and just, I mean, they were crying. They weren't ecstatic. They were crying, thinking of all the people. Imagine their friends and everyone that they've lost, and their families and back home, and etc. So, and a lot of them were starving, and mostly the German army. They were starving. So, okay. And then block number 12, which is our wonderful little Lone Star. This is called Looking Back. And this block I did completely freehand. So I just couldn't find one that I just loved. So I thought, I love my freehand. So I did that. And I want to, another phrase that I think of when I see this block is, that came out of the war was, here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then the center of that, I think you have some pictures of the center medallion. Mm-hmm. It was just beautiful, just a beautiful center medallion. And the triangles, the gray triangles, I used one of my stars and stripe patterns, and in the middle on the gray, but the rest is all freehand, all the feathers and are all freehand. And it just turned out beautiful. It's just outstanding.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
So we have the corner pieces, and then we can show the whole
Yeah, there's
thing.
one piece on the border that I wanted to emphasize that I really liked when we were going through it. And so, Linda, you want to talk about that one?
Well, you know, the border was really large. I guess he made it for a queen size, but the actual quilt body was not that large. So we put a lot of black fabric out there. And I thought the stars and the loops and stars were good. But I really wanted to emphasize, so I put one of these in the middle of each border and on the corners of each border. And I really made that for a placemat, but I have used that on so many quilts now that I'm changing my mind. And also makes wonderful coasters. Yeah. So it's just beautiful. And he did say, he just brought him to tears to see the quilt. He just said, I just broke down. I couldn't believe it was so beautiful, amazing, and just meant so much to him. Finished. There you can really see the corners and stuff. It's not as sharp as I'd like it, but I'm standing there holding it at the top of my at the top of my stairs. So it's a big quilt.
Yeah, definitely.
It's very pretty, and it's stunning, and
the pictures don't do it justice.
Yeah, the pictures don't do it justice. I mean, it tells an amazing story.
It really does. It'll be for generations in his family. And so it was, you know, when you work on a quilt like that, I mean, as soon as I saw it, or the picture of it that you saw with him holding it, I started doing research on World War I, and I just got like so into it, finding all these words and just being amazed at everything. So if somebody out there wants to do one for World War II, I would really appreciate being able to quilt that one.
That's awesome. Well, if you like some of the patterns that she used, which I'm sure you do, she does have a website. So Corey, you want to throw that in there?
I do. It's fancybluefox.com, and it has all, whatever format you need for all of the patterns. So
yeah, so whatever.
it has a lot of patterns on it. Don't be a dingbat. That's another word that came out. Oh, and shell shocked. Oh my goodness. Just so many things I had to think of. Tailspin, nosedive, dogfight with these planes. First time they had planes, in a major war. And our planes weren't quite as good as their planes at that time. But they are now. Anyway.
But yeah, no, definitely going through this list of words that you had sent over to us. I was enamored, amazed. I was like, whoa. I was like, yeah. we use that. Oh,
yeah, it's like common. Just say we see it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't even think about, like you said earlier, you don't even think about where these phrases came from. You just are using them, and you never thought about the history of it, right?
It just came up in school one day, so I said it.
Yeah, right?
Probably true for a lot of our words. We have no idea our phrases, where they come from, but wow, they had to come up with names for all of these different things. Oh, Kiwis. Those were the New Zealand group that sent over. Their soldiers were called Kiwis. Americans named them Kiwis.
Oh, that's great information. Well, Linda, thank you so much for sharing the quote with us, and with everyone, so we could see, number one, all the beautiful blocks, but also the story behind each block. I mean, when a quilt can tell a story, I mean, that's just...
Especially something that powerful. There's a lot behind that era. Mm-hmm. And then that quilt kind of helps bring it all together. It's just absolutely beautiful. I'm sure it was an amazing thing to work on as well when you were sitting right over all that.
It was, yeah. It took a lot more time just because I was thinking a lot, but he did a terrific job. His first quilt, come on. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you again, and we also want to thank Dean for allowing us to be able to show his quilt and have you with it to show and to tell his story. Thank him and his family and all the veterans out there, because there's a story to be told.
Oh, yes,
whether
of
it's
course.
World War I, II,
Vietnam,
all the different Desert Storm, what we're in today. There's so many stories that our soldiers have. And it's important that we know these stories and understand these stories to understand how we have our freedom today.
Yeah, to see how we got here today.
Yeah.
And I know that you had mentioned Dean was in the service for, you said 38 years?
38 years.
38 years. Wow. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So, all right.
Okay. Well, I think that does it for us. So, Linda, thank you again so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate it.
Bye.
And we will let you go back to what you're doing in beautiful Star Valley and get back to quilting. You love doing that.
I will. I am. Yes, every day.
All righty, Linda. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, now, did you see me? I'm just sitting there going like this.
I know, she was really into it. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw her kind of in the back. She was really, really into it.
No, I was just enamored by the stories that come with it, each block number one.
Right.
And just the history, because, we don't really think about it. We think about everything we have now and our freedoms that we have now. We don't think about how we got here.
Today thing, yeah.
We don't think about it. So when we hear stories like this and we're able to have the ability to learn, it's awesome. And I'm so glad that he did that quilt. He shared it with Linda, and Linda was able to share it with our audience and to share it with us. And I hope that everyone enjoyed it just as much as we did.
Yeah, we had a great time in the comments. Everyone's loving it, seeing everything that they're saying. So thank y'all so much for sitting with us and learning more about this quilt. So with that being said, we're talking about quilts and everything we've done. What is going on next week here at After Hours?
So we're going to have some super fun Thanksgiving fun.
Super fun Thanksgiving fun. All right. Someone's tired.
I am tired. I am tired. We are going to have some fun. We have a project in mind. We are just all about gratitude this month. So next week will be another form of gratitude fun. You won't want to miss this one. Corey and I are going to have lots of fun with it. I don't even want to spill the beans.
Well, you don't got to spill all the beans. I didn't know if there was a hint or maybe a breadcrumb, a piece of stuffing. I don't know if you want to leave that. See what I did there? Thanksgiving. Yeah. I'm sorry. So.
Well, bring your plate to the table.
That's how you're going to end that. Okay. Yeah, I'll leave that one for you. I'm going to get you a shirt that says that.
No, it'll be super. It's going to be fun. You're going to want to stay tuned for next week. Corey and I are going to take these really cool, amazing placemat patterns that Linda designed.
And we'll find out what happens.
And then you get to see what happens after that. It's going to be cool. So definitely stay tuned for next week. And don't forget.
Oh, yes. Big, don't forget.
Don't forget about our show and tell on the 19th.
Yes. Keep sending in your entries for showing off what you have done with After Hours. Sorry, I'm trying to throw it up here real quick.
Yeah, please. Okay, so we're doing this whole show and tell for all of our viewers. We want to see your quilts. We want to see the things that you've done during shutdown, during 2020, during learning some of the tips, whether it was freehand tips from us, from our After Hours, maybe freehand tips that you've learned from, just teachers, just to kind of share. We just want to see. It doesn't have to have exactly.
Or just a showcase, yeah.
Yeah, just a showcase for you. This is all about you. We're so thankful for you guys. We want to show some of your stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect.
No.
My stuff's not perfect by any means. You watch us, you know that.
Your stuff's perfect.
No.
It's perfect to me.
Oh, sweet. Gratitude.
Yes, gratitude.
But make sure that you email. There's an email up there right now. You email the information. The description's below of what I need on my email. So send me those pictures. Send me what you did there. And we want to show off your stuff.
Yeah. So, if you have a little bit of a story of how you got to build that confidence with those skills that you've learned here at After Hours, feel free to throw that in. We'll add little pieces and bits of that throughout the broadcast.
Yes.
Which will be really, really cool. We've gotten a lot of some that brought us to tears on some of the things. How we've helped you get to where you are in your quilting level and your quilting confidence. And that's a really big thing for us. I'm going to start tearing up again. Yeah. That's a really big thing for us. That's what we're here to do for you, is to help you feel a little bit more confident, a little bit more successful on that machine. And so you're not afraid to turn it on.
Exactly. And we want to hear your stories. We want to share your stories. We want to share your quilts, the pictures of them. So we're just excited. So anyway, don't forget November 19th. What?
Good one.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, once again, thank you all so much for joining us here at After Hours. We will see you next week for a little bit of Thanksgiving fun.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.